I'm Russ.
I'm Will.
And today we're talking SCHMIDT about sharks.
Right.
3, 2, 1.
Thanks for checking out Talking SCHMIDT, where we discuss different ways that media portrays marketing technology. And today we are talking about Austin Powers' Goldmember. Will, I know you've seen this one.
Yes, I've seen them all. This is the one I'm least familiar with, though, unfortunately.
So in this scene, Scott, right? Scott.
I think so, Scotty. Yep.
Dr. Evil's son gifts sharks with lasers on their friggin' heads, just like Dr. Evil had requested in the first film. So he finally gets them. So we're gonna watch and see how these sharks with lasers on their heads perform.
I got you a present. Really? Open the tank.
Open the tank!
Are those sharks with laser beams attached to their heads? Cool! You mean I actually have frickin' sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their frickin' heads? You're the best evil son an evil dad could ever ask for.
I love you, Dad.
I love you, son. It's a touching moment.
Okay.
Just so goofy. Just so goofy.
I love that scene. His reaction to Scott saying "I love you." Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so sharks with lasers on their heads. Firstly, can lasers work underwater? Because even in this scene, the sharks were kind of half out of the water when that laser fired.
That's a good point.
Generally speaking, you're probably putting lasers on sharks so that they can fire the lasers underwater. So would a laser actually work underwater?
Yes, they would. Some wavelengths are going to work better than others. And a big caveat, first off, is to make sure that your laser source is going to be waterproof. Any of the components get wet, you're going to fry everything, and then therefore you're not going to have anything to even produce a laser. Some wavelengths will work better than others. Blue-green spectrum, anything on that wavelength, that spectrum, those are going to be the best.
The reason I ask is because, lasers they're light, and
right.
Light doesn't penetrate to the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
So that's because, if I'm remembering this correctly from high school, the water absorbs and scatters the light particles. So if you're in the water with a laser and you turn on that laser, it must only work, for a certain distance, right?
Yes, I believe so. I believe that that's correct.
Because the water must do the same exact thing to the laser, where it starts absorbing and scattering the laser light.
Correct. One thing that I was reading, just doing a little bit of research on this for today, scuba divers, they'll use a laser pointer to actually highlight what they're actually talking to. Oh. So it's a good way of, almost like a teacher would, and back in the day, using it on a board to, make sure that somebody's paying attention to what they want them to pay attention to.
Now, we talked about weaponizing lasers. So let's go into that a little bit. Lasers as weapons really aren't ideal. I shouldn't say that. They're not efficient, I guess. Like, you would never be able to carry around a laser powerful enough to really protect you.
Right, and I think if you were to get to a laser that would be an efficient weapon, you'd have to have, we're getting back into some of our other previous videos, like where you just have to have such a powerful laser source that right. I don't think you'd almost have to have like a proton pack, like a Ghostbusters proton pack, and even something that might not even be big enough to generate the amount of energy that you would need to create a weaponized laser.
So we talked about Real Genius in the last episode. I think you said that the energy source for the laser that they built, they would probably need like a football field for that, right?
Yeah, I believe that's what I read was a football field, and then that might even be on the small side.
Right, and I do know that some militaries in the world do use lasers. I think the U.S. has a laser like on a giant battleship.
I think so.
But it's on a battleship. You know, it's not strapped to someone's back.
Right. It's on a ship that carries planes. I mean,
Right.
It's giant.
Right. So to mount a laser on a shark's head, I mean, it's possible. And in fact, I think it's been done. Or no, it's been mounted on a shark, but not on its head. I think it was mounted on its fin. But you know, the laser is like this big. It's small. It's not powerful enough to. Actually, they made it a point to say that the lasers were not powerful enough to harm any of the other animals underwater. So yeah, you can put a laser on the shark, maybe not its head, but you've got this energy source to deal with. And if you want to weaponize it, you're not going to be able to create an energy source and a laser and attach both of them to a shark and expect the shark to, you know, survive, basically.
Right. Let alone probably even swim. I think it'd probably just sink it.
Oh, and then there's also the issue of focal range.
Ah, yes.
I mean, let's just say you mounted a laser on the shark's head. If you want to fire that at someone, you need to train the shark to be a certain distance away every time it fired in order for it to efficiently and accurately hit its target. So if you have a small lens, and you're going to need a pretty small lens if you're going to attach it to a shark, every time I say that, I just sound so stupid. But if you're going to attach a laser to a shark, you're going to need a pretty small lens if you want the shark to be able to, if you don't want the lens or the laser to keep the shark from moving freely.
Right. I mean, I think even in this video that we see, this clip here that we see, the laser and the source that looks to be on this shark, I think that looks smaller than even what we have in our 12 watt.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah, I mean, that looks like they didn't do any scientific research about what's realistic. And I think they just made a prop laser and just attached it to a shark.
They wanted to get cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that said, if you got a small lens, then you've got a small focal range.
Right.
And
so you have to be more precise.
Well, that, and the shark needs to get really close. Because on our GeoMark Pro, for example, the focal distance is something like 180 millimeters.
Somewhere around there. Yep.
Right.
Somewhere around there.
So 180 millimeters is not far. And if they're going to get really close, they might as well just bite you.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Yes. Yeah, I think I'd be more afraid of the shark being that close than the actual laser. That's a good point.
Right, because you can't. I don't think realistically you can get a big enough lens on a shark that you can fire a laser from distance.
No, I think you're right in saying that.
All right, well, that's it for this episode of Talking SCHMIDT. But if you would like for us to discuss a specific scene in movies, TVs, comic books, anything, let us know. Just drop us a line in the comment section below, or hit us up on any of our social media pages, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, anywhere that you see us. Let us know what you would like us to discuss, and we'll make a video about it.